I'm a 100% disabled veteran through the VA system, and she takes over half of my paycheck currently. Uh, I don't have enough money to pay for my mortgage. It's either pay for my mortgage or don't eat for a month. So I've been relying on family. Right now I'm in the process of trying to get the home sold. My wife is being a pain in the butt on that. She wants to sell it, but she doesn't want to sign the paperwork to sell it.
Today we got on Ted, and he's going to explain a little bit about his story.
Yeah, sure. So a little bit about myself. My wife and I were married for 3 years. We got out of the military and we got into a position where we were going to buy our dream house, basically. My parents were looking to sell my childhood home. It's a beautiful home out in the country, in Pennsylvania, and we bought their house. They sold it to us about $70,000 less than they should have, just because they wanted their grandson close to them. It was, I mean, it was basically everything I ever wanted out of life. It just all came together. I had the kid, I had a wife, I had a house, I had pets. Just it was the perfect situation in my opinion. But so my wife and I, we had issues in our relationship. We had arguments. I'm sure she would say things about me too. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. But we had marriage counseling scheduled, so that's kind of the boat we were rocking in. Things weren't the best, but if you asked me, I would have said I love this woman and I'm going to be her husband for the rest of my life and we're going to raise a beautiful family together. Yeah, I'm willing to work on those small issues, but so long story short, she had a vacation scheduled to take my son to see her family in California. My son was I'm sorry, my son was 10 months at the time, 10 months old, and they wanted to see their grandkid. It made sense. So my wife goes out there to California and she gets there and everything's good. We're sending each other messages all day long. We're calling each other before bed. We're saying I love you. Not to get weird or anything, but we're just doing the normal couple things like over a phone. The day before she was supposed to return home, she she and I got into an argument on Snapchat, which is extremely stupid. But so I was out fishing and enjoying nature with my dad for that 2 week vacation she went on, and I caught a fish and I just posted a picture of my fish and I said, "Last day of freedom before the wife and kid come home."
Oh God.
Yeah, so I didn't mean anything harmful from it. I just meant that hey, it's my last day before I got to get my crap together again. Got to get my life back into gear. So she took it the wrong way, and there wasn't much of a conversation. She just straight up told me that she is not returning home to Pennsylvania. She's keeping our kid in California, and she's blocking me on every communication platform that we have.
And she didn't have this planned because to just stay somewhere and leave and not come back for your things and not, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
how does someone do that? You know,
yeah,
without having a plan.
it's a little fishy. Her vacation was paid for by her biological mother's boyfriend. It was actually up a month. She was supposed to go a month later, then all of a sudden it's up the month. I didn't think anything weird of it. I do think there was foul play going on. I do think she left with ulterior motives, but who's to say? I mean, yeah. So she was she blocked me on everything. I had no point of contact with her. She has a biological parent and she has a stepmother. I was able to text message her stepmother and just to get like basic updates on my son. Um, I wasn't getting pictures. I wasn't getting anything. Like,
So the parents, everyone knew the situation at this point
yeah,
that she kind of just stayed there, blocked you from everything, and just giving you no
yeah.
contact. How are her parents like giving you something? Like, are they like telling you like, oh, your son's okay, or are they just like, don't contact us?
So it's her stepmother I'm dealing with, and she gave me a few photos of my son. She talked to me on the phone and was basically like, "Oh, you know how your wife is," and that sort of thing. Nobody led me to believe that this was gonna blow up to the extent it blows up later on in the story. Um, I, I just can't believe it. But so we fast forward about 5 days. Um, my wife actually sends me a message. She sends me a message about our kid, and I forget exactly what she stated, but she tells me something along the lines of, "Don't tell me how to parent my child." And I just kind of lost it. And I'm a veteran with like a few mental health obstacles in the way. So I wasn't thinking too straight and I overdosed. I took
Oh,
medication and I overdosed. But thankfully, I called the ambulance. They were able to get out to me in time. So I woke up a day later in the VA hospital, but I woke up to police officers serving me something called a protection from abuse order. So later on, I found this out, but she filed a protection from abuse on June 2nd, and I was hospitalized on June 6th. By the time the court process and the paperwork and all that was handled, it was delivered to me the day I woke up in the hospital.
that's crazy.
Yeah, so the family had to have known. Everyone was just
Yeah.
hiding this from me. So I woke up to that protection from abuse order, and she threw everything she had at me. She said that I abused her physically, emotionally, verbally. She said I did the same thing to our son, physical, emotional, and verbal abuse. And not only that, we had three cats and a dog. She claimed that I abused my dog and my cats as well.
Jesus.
I mean,
And did the overdose? I can only imagine that didn't help
no, that
with all of that being said about you.
no, that it didn't help at all. It, it made things worse because I was actually hospitalized. They wouldn't let me leave because obviously I overdosed. I had to be under evaluation for like about a week under close monitor.
Wow.
And while I was under evaluation, this PFA turned into a court date. So my dad was kind enough to find an attorney for me while I was hospitalized because I wasn't allowed access to my cell phone. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah, uh, so the VA is really serious about suicide, and if you attempt, you're kind of flagged, and they don't want you to get on media or social media. They just kind of want to keep you isolated from that sort of stuff. So my dad did the groundwork and got me an attorney, and this we had a court date set up. And fast forward 2 weeks later, the court date comes, and I text my attorney. Everything looks great. He's like, "I'm at the court. Uh, I'll argue for your defense or whatever. We're just going to continue the hearing because she had no evidence. All we had to do was just
Right. Right.
pile up the evidence against her, and it's all a joke." So turns out my attorney was not at court. He was not present for the court case, and the judge automatically issued the harshest penalty possible because there's no representation on my behalf. And that was a 5-year restraining order against my wife, my kids, and my pet.
I mean, that is fucking unbelievable. What did you say to your attorney after that? I mean, I would have lost my mind.
Yeah, lots of curse words. Lots of curse
Yeah.
words.
I mean, was he apologetic? Like, did he understand what he just did?
Uh, he was apologetic, but not to the extent in hindsight that I should have caught up on. Um,
Yeah. I mean, 5 years is a long time.
Yeah. So he kind of basically strung me along, unfortunately with a bunch of lies. He was like, "Well, we can do this to fight her now. We don't have to worry about that. We have a court date set out in August. Once that August court date comes around, we'll gather all the evidence, we'll show it to the judge. The judge will let you go, and we're all good. Sunshine and rainbows, basically. So, I mean, the attorney, he's a joke. If you go look up his reviews, I don't want to name drop, but if you went to go look up his reviews, uh, this isn't the first time he's done this to somebody, and it's not the last either. Since I left him a review, people have left reviews after me, and he's done the same thing. So he's currently under investigation by the state of California.
As he should be.
Yeah,
I mean, that is no joke. Wow.
yeah, he was paid about $10,000 too for absolutely nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
I'm sorry to hear that, man, because yeah, I mean, to miss out on 5 years with your kid
yeah,
because of a simple mistake, or not even a mistake, the guy's just an idiot, but it's like something so simple. I mean, that's unbelievable.
yeah, it's the things my wife were arguing too. Like, for example, she stated we had a verbal dispute once, and she called the police because I couldn't tell you why. She just felt it was necessary, I guess. The police came out to our house and they talked to her, they talked to me, and they were here for like 2 or 3 minutes and they left. They asked me if I wanted her removed from the property actually because she pushed me, and I told them no, I'm good. So she lied and she said I was arrested that day. So I got a statement from the police saying, "Hey, he was never arrested. It was a verbal dispute, and what I just told you happened." She lied about my neighbors, to my left and my right. She stated that my neighbors witnessed me abuse her and my child outside. It never happened. I mean, I had to go knocking on my neighbors' doors and asking them to write a written statement that never took place.
Right.
It was so
And
embarrassing.
how fucking embarrassing is that?
Yeah,
Exactly. It's like, come on. And so this got filed also in California because she
yeah.
filed it there, so it's not filed in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so the jurisdiction of the case is taking place in California, and
Yep.
everything's much more expensive there. And it's honestly, it feels like it's a lot more corrupt, but I don't think there's a good part of the court system anywhere for fathers.
Yeah. No, you're dead on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So this attorney, he led me on until I want to say December, and I just pulled the plug on him. Um, it was just too much BS. More court dates that he actually didn't show up for. Um, yeah, believe it or not, he didn't show up again to another court date. Yeah, uh, he never used any bit of evidence that I had. Um, the thing that pushed me over the edge was she wanted child support and spousal support, so we had a court hearing for that. The attorney, he didn't argue in my favor at all. He got me basically the highest amount possible. So I'm on.
That's what's so
Yeah,
frustrating too is like not only for 5 years are you not allowed to see your kids, but now you're paying child support and you want your kids,
yeah,
and it's like you're paying full child support, full spousal, whatever, alimony. I mean,
yeah,
it's just so frustrating.
yeah. It is. I'm a 100% disabled veteran through the VA system, and she takes over half of my paycheck currently. Uh, I,
Wow.
I don't
Yeah.
have enough money to pay for my mortgage. It's either pay for my mortgage or don't eat for a month. So I've been relying on family. Right now I'm in the process of trying to get the home sold. My wife is being a pain in the butt on that. She wants to sell it, but she doesn't want to sign the paperwork to sell it.
Oh, her name's on it as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, I
Oh,
I I expected to be with this person for the rest of my life.
of course.
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
yeah, but so I got a good attorney on my side. She basically told me that there's some things we could do to get the child support numbers down, which we are. Spousal support is being dropped. Um, what else? She said that I can go back to court to argue the original issue of the restraining order and basically present the judge my evidence, but it's going to cost $10,000 to do that. And that's just to get to court. It's not the court cost for her to show up and present the argument and everything like that. So it's just out of my budget.
Right. Like how are people supposed to do that?
Yeah,
And as they're paying child support and spousal fees and all that, it's like how do they expect people to handle that?
right. I'm already drowning in money problems the way it is trying to pay the attorney that I had to replace the prior one with. So it's just a big convoluted mess. And the worst part of about all of this is you could look at it and say the money sucks, selling your house sucks, losing your pet sucks. But I lost my son for 5 years. He's growing up without a dad for no reason. There's no reason why I can't be part of his
Literally
life.
for no reason. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and it's crazy because the mom probably doesn't even regret or care
no,
about it at all. Like what she did, she knew she lied about everything,
yeah,
and to have your son now grow up without his father, and she's probably sitting there, telling him shitty things about you,
yeah,
and it's just crazy because in the end, he's only getting fucking hurt, by all that.
yeah. It's a very unfortunate situation for my child. The only thing I could think of doing is besides sticking around for the long term. Uh, it's gave me a new perspective on life. I do everything for my son now, so I can be there for him one day, whenever that day is. But I'm just gonna document everything as far as evidence goes, court. Um, I get 15-minute phone calls or video calls with my son, so that's good. But my ex makes them very problematic, and they turn into about 5 or 6 minute calls because of the way the court order is written. As soon as my son disengages from the video call, she's allowed to turn it off.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah. So he's 1 year old right now, and he's walking around, and he'll walk off screen once, and she just turns off the call.
Oh my god.
It's
It's that shit. I mean, it's so hard because it's like to only have 15 minutes. Okay, if he's not engaged, it's like sit the phone next to him and watch him for 15
I
minutes.
know.
It's 15 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? But to turn it off, to have that little loophole in there, that she can turn it off. It's like that is so stupid.
Yeah, I've had the police go out to her house and talk to her. The police have basically told me, hey, that's basically a loophole. We feel really bad for you. This shouldn't be this way, but there's nothing they could do about it. It's unfortunate for my son. I so desperately want to be a dad. It's all I ever wanted to be in my life, and I can't be there for this kid. In 14 days, actually, it'll be 1 year since I've seen my son. Um,
Wow,
so I'll have 4 more years to go until I can see my son, unless something changes, which I hope it does.
man, I'm so sorry. That's
Yeah.
fucking heart. I mean, that's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's not a good story. I never thought I'd be in this position ever in my life.
Yeah, and I sit there and I'm like, my story was wild as well,
Yeah,
but not to the point where my kids were taken away for years.
yeah,
I had a fight to see my kids, but at least I was able to see them. I mean, I could not imagine, not being able to see them for 5 years, and not only that, they're completely in a different state across the country. So it's like, it's just I can't imagine how frustrating that is.
yeah.
And the court's obviously not doing shit. It's not helping you at all.
No, no, it's not. If anything, this whole process has really opened up my eyes to how bad fathers are treated. It all along, it just seems like I never had a chance to prove my innocence, and no one's interested in hearing my story now. It's just, well, the mother is obviously abused in all this, so you're the bad guy automatically. You don't get to see your son. Here's the repercussions. That's it.
Yeah, and you're guilty until proven innocent. But the funny thing is, I posted something like that on TikTok a while ago, and someone commented, and they were like, "You're guilty until proven guilty,"
Yeah,
because like the dads just always get screwed. And I laughed at that. I was like, "That's kind of true."
yeah, yeah, definitely.
So what next? Like you're just kind of you said you were documenting everything and kind of just waiting for him to get older. And I mean, he'll definitely be asking questions, but hopefully it doesn't come
Yeah,
that time. He'll only be 5 or 6 years old when you're able to see him next.
yeah. So for next, I'm working on my mental health. Uh,
Yeah.
since we're selling our home currently, I don't have to worry about mortgage payments. I just have to worry about attorney fees. I'm able to scrape by barely. Uh, so I'm focusing a lot on my mental health, just doing things that I enjoy, getting outside in nature, exercising. I adopted a kitten who's right here.
To be honest, though, that's probably very, very good for you. You know what I mean? To be able to have that, love and affection, even though it's a fucking cat, you
Yeah,
might think it's stupid, but it really probably does help a lot.
yeah, I love animals, and
Yeah,
he's been a lifesaver. He's helped me through so many hard nights.
yeah, that's a tough story. Does she get half of the money when you sell the house? She gets half.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, so right.
she hasn't contributed a penny towards mortgage since she left a year ago. But according to California law, at least, it's called the Epstein Law, I believe. Uh, since I'm living here, I'm enjoying the benefits of living here. So therefore,
Ah,
I'm responsible for the whole mortgage payment.
but yet when you sell it,
Yeah,
she gets.
yeah,
It's just crazy. The whole system with everything is just so backwards.
yeah. It seems like it's outdated. It definitely needs. It just needs to be redone. I mean, it's archaic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad, man. You're working on your mental health. Definitely, suicide is no joke, but that's even worse for your kid because then he'll be able to see you again. So I'm glad that you kind of fought that. I did a lot of things up in New Hampshire. I don't know if you guys have it where you are, but for veterans count and stuff like that,
Yeah,
there's a lot of mental health issues with all of that. So
yeah,
our town or the company we worked for did a lot of stuff for them to try to help. But man, it's no joke.
yeah. I've been working tremendously on it. Like I'm such a in such a better state of mind right now. Something like that would never cross my mind again. It was just a
Yeah,
very stupid lapse of judgment, and quite honestly, I think she was expecting that and hoping that would happen. Um,
damn. Is she also from the military?
no, she's
Oh,
lucky
okay.
to hold down a job. She's that type of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a crazy thing actually is her mother, her biological mother. She's married two different men in her life, and she marries the man, has a kid, divorces for the money, goes to the next, divorces, goes to
Oh
the
my
next.
God.
She goes
Yeah.
after rich, rich men who are either older, not as good looking, and
Yeah.
I think that's what my ex is doing. She's just simply following in her mother's footsteps.
It's just so shitty.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that kind of ties into at the start you mentioned if there's ulterior motives. It
Yeah.
just unfortunately it makes too much sense. I even
Right, right. When you put all the pieces together.
yeah,
Yeah.
I even reached out to ex-husband of her mother's while all this was happening because I heard a lot of stories from my ex-wife about how he was, but I talked to the guy and my God, his story is almost similar to mine. Like it's it's eerie. It's spooky.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, and it's almost like the same story. It's the same story, different dad. The allegations, the abuse. You're such a great dad until you guys separate, and then you're the worst dad in
Yeah,
the world. And it's funny how the court system still to this day, like I get it, it's archaic. The system definitely needs to change, but these sort of allegations always happen. They're always being brought up, especially when somebody's separated and they're going in for custody or something. How do they? It's just like how do they let that keep playing out the same exact way? Like it never changes. The guy always gets screwed,
yeah,
or
it's
that's what it seems like.
yeah, I mean, if you look around for stories, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack where the man is represented well and he gets an outcome in his favor. It shouldn't be that way. It should be equal. Each situation should be unique and it should be
Yeah.
examined uniquely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, hopefully, who knows if it will ever change, but,
Yeah.
hopefully one day it does because it is very, very unfair. I mean, I was actually just talking to one of my best friends. I grew up with him, one of my best friends here. He his wife, went crazy. She went to a mental institute. He has full custody of his two kids and then her kid from a separate relationship. He has full custody. She's ordered to pay child support and all of this. She has yet to pay a cent. Doesn't have a job. It's been probably 2 years, and nothing. If a man was not paying child support, eventually, he'd get his passport taken. He'd end up in jail.
Yeah,
But she's been going 2 years without paying, and nothing has happened to her. And I find that so funny because it's like when this is a guy who doesn't do this, he's in trouble. But when it's a woman, they kind of just like blow it off, like, maybe you'll get the money, maybe you won't. It's so messed up.
yeah. Actually, I could relate to that. So my ex claimed that I did not pay a month of child support, and the child support office in California reached out to me pretty rapidly, and they sent me letters stating if we don't get in touch with you, we're gonna contact the police, this, that, and the other thing. So I had to
Wow.
get them evidence. I had to go to my bank and show them a check where my wife signed her name that she received the check and cashed it. It's
And you know what's crazy? She's not even getting in trouble for
no,
saying that false shit
no,
and making them run around and do extra work.
yeah, but
Oh my
they're ready to
god.
jump down my throat the second that they
Yeah.
yeah, it's I don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Damn. Did you join the Facebook groups just to be able to kind of talk to other dads going through something and kind of have a sense of community?
Yeah, I contribute a little bit, offering my opinion here and there. I haven't really
Yeah.
made my story public or anything. I've thought about it. It's up and down on what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation, and I'm just trying to do right by my kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when I join a couple like of those Facebook groups, it blows me away how many dads are going
Yeah,
through something and how many like some serious stuff.
yeah,
Like I mean your story is pretty, people have the drama and the bullshit that I'm going through, but nothing like what you're going through. So,
yeah. And I appreciate this podcast. I gave it a listen before I came on. Your content's great. Uh, it's
thank you.
it's something that needs to be picked up on. I hope it blows up, and I hope and wish you great success.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I mean, I started it because I was so frustrated with my
Yeah,
situation and no one was listening. And I just like, I'm so angry with like the court system and how it plays out. But, I get a lot of dads hitting me up saying, thank you so much for this. And so I know it's helping,
yeah,
dads out there and it's doing something good. So
yeah,
I
definitely.
appreciate that. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
You can hold me down. You